Hello, my name is Mark and welcome to I Am Organic Gardening on this beautiful, gorgeous morning. It's about 55 degrees this morning and it's just perfect. And I'm excited because in this video I'm going to go over what tomatoes need and don't need to ripen. And if your tomatoes aren't ripening properly, there's just a simple solution to it, and it's how I'm going to go over how nature does it and how we can help nature also achieve to get a little help to ripen those tomatoes for us. So on my 22-acre farm, I'm strictly organic gardening. Just to give you a little bit of a background, I don't use any fertilizer, chemicals, or pesticides or herbicides on my farm, and I grow a great product. And I can just tell you that it's working well because my customers always buy from me, and I'm pretty much sold out all the time, depending on my harvest. Now, I have one of my tomato plants here in the garden. It's a little bit too wet in the field from this morning, and I would show you that on a later date or something like that, is that it's just wet from the early morning dew because it got so cold last night. But I want to go over today about, again, what we need and don't need to ripen our tomatoes. So let's take a closer look at this plant, and I'll grab a tomato and I'm going to show you some interesting facts, one that I get from farmers, one that you can hear off of Line, and also too a little bit of science behind it all also. I like to look at all general things to give you the best advice about what I'm talking about. So let's take a look. I'm going to go on the other side of the tomato plant and go from there because it's a little bit shadier and you'll get a better camera view. So stick with me. So here we are on the back side of the tomato plant because it's too bright to show it on the other side. Now I'm going to start digging in this general area. I see just a little bit of red. It's not a very ripe tomato and it looks like it has a crack on top, but I'm going to show you. This is buried in foliage right now. So what I'm trying to prove on this point is tomatoes don't need sunlight to ripen. And let me get in here and I'll show you. We'll move this out of the way. And down, you can just see it now and we'll get closer. Now you can see that tomato and it's about, let's see, 5 inches off the ground, and it's shaded by everything in the front. It's not getting any sunlight. It's sitting there in the shade. So let's pick this off. Again, it's not going to be one of my best tomatoes in the garden. So let's see what's going on here. I should have brought my clippers out, but I'm just going to pull the top off. Now here's my tomato. It's extremely wet. It's not too bad. It's got a couple of blemishes on it. It's not really a sellable tomato. I wouldn't sell this because of the bottom part, but people will buy it for a reduced price because they know they can cut a lot of things out of it. So, oops, I dropped it. Now, this tomato does not need sunlight to ripen, and that's pretty true. It's true. It's very true for all tomatoes. So I want to show an example on a tomato next to it, and I'll let you pick that out and I'll compare the two for you. So we have over here a nice green tomato, and I'll pick it because I know how to ripen it up inside my house. And here's a much better one. Again, I wish I had something to kind of cut them with, but I'm just going to pull it off on the stem here, like so. Now that's, now that's a good sellable tomato once it ripens. And people will even buy green tomatoes from me because they know how to ripen and I teach them. So let me show you how we can ripen this green tomato in the house. Like I mentioned to you in the beginning of the video, I want to go over what we need and what we don't need about ripening tomatoes, our tomatoes. What we don't need is sunlight. So I showed you picking it off the plant that this was buried underneath lots of foliage, and I leave a lot of foliage on my tomatoes to reduce birds from going after my tomatoes. I have a lot of crows, I have other animals on my farm, but mostly crows will go after blue jays, pretty much any type of bird, and they're looking for the water, not so much the taste. So now we have our green tomato. My green tomato here, and I want to prove you a point. See, this is the green mature stage. It's a dark green on top, and you can see it's a lighter green on the bottom, and I'll flip it over. Another known fact is that we don't need sunlight, but also tomatoes ripen from the bottom up. See how it's pale on the bottom? Here, let me wipe this off so it's a little bit cleaner. You can tell the contrast in color, and hopefully the video camera gets this. See how nice and kind of pale that is? Compared to the top, see how dark green, and you can see on the side where it's green here, like a dark green, and also a pale. And you're like, wow, that's not ripe at all. How is it going to ripen from the bottom to the top? So, this is what happens in nature. This is very interesting. This tomato here was, as you know, green in the past, and so is this one. Now, that tomato has chlorophyll in it. That's what makes it green in the cells. The cells here, when they mature, that chlorophyll, which gathers sunlight, will start breaking down and dying off. When it dies off, it turns red. Not in all tomatoes, because you'll see there's yellow tomatoes, there's dark purple tomatoes, brown tomatoes, you name it. So when this green matures and the cells start dying off, not the cell, but what's inside the cell starts dying off, the chlorophyll, that is an indication that it's getting ripe. The tomato knows that it's ripe and is going to this stage here. So that's how nature ripens things. Now, I know there's a lot of things that, a lot of controversy or selling items on YouTube or in the stores that things are vine ripened. Now, you can take this tomato, and I'll show you inside. You can take this tomato, put it in a box with a closed lid, and check it every day. You want to take a nice tomato, and I'll go into more details when I go inside to show you. I can take this tomato, put it in a box with a ripe apple or a ripe banana, and that gives off ethylene gas. That ethylene gas will help this tomato ripen. So you're just going to place it inside a box, and you can do it face up or face down, and I would do it face down because then you can watch it start ripening, and then these tomatoes will ripen for you. It's that simple. It's really interesting. So let's just go over another couple key points. It's not the size of your tomato plants that's going to help you ripen a tomato. You can have a small plant or you can have a large plant like mine. It's not the amount of foliage that's on the plant. A lot of people will maintain their tomato plants or vines to very little leaves. I don't prefer to do that. If you wish to, you can. I believe growing a tomato plant this size, I haven't fertilized this at all. I use leaf mold that you can see down the bottom to give it nutrients, but it's not so much the nutrients that are in the leaf, it's the amount of moisture in the ground keeping that soil alive, and I'll explain that in other videos, to make this plant so big. And it's not putting all the energy into the leaf production. It will grow, again, more tomatoes for me than reduced leaves. There's, I know, very popular videos out there that says, hey, you know what? You don't want to grow all these leaves, you want to grow tomatoes. The more stems you have and the more flowers you have equal more tomatoes. And also, the variety. Certain varieties are bred to grow more tomatoes over the years. Old-fashioned heirloom varieties, you'll get a great tasting tomato and very few tomatoes on it because it's not bred to produce mass production of tomatoes. This is a beefsteak tomato or beefsteak tomato vine, and it will grow a lot of tomatoes for me, and it's been hybridized. But I do not use any other supplements, and I can still get a beautiful harvest off of this. I'm reducing my cost by not doing more to it, labor-wise and fertilizer-wise, and I have not watered it. We've had a lot of water this year from rain, but you can see that it's doing very well. And it's also got a couple of weeds growing on it. Who the heck with it? I hate these things. I don't use anything to do it, and we just get lazy after a while. But there's some morning glory growing on that, and we'll give a nice blue flower later on. So another thing I want to point out, I'm going to go back to my tomato sample here. We have, this is called the mature green stage, where it's dark green on top, and it was all dark green, but it's getting lighter on the bottom. You can pick this now. See, I can pick this now and bring it in the house and put it in a box, like I mentioned before, with a ripe apple or a banana, and it will ripen up by using that ethylene gas given off. Tomatoes give off ethylene gas also too, and that's why I believe leaving a lot of foliage on the plant will keep that ethylene gas available to a group of tomatoes here, that all of a sudden they start ripening, and then they'll start ripening the other tomatoes near it because they have foliage on top holding in that ethylene gas. So the other thing that they need to ripen, besides going through the green stage and starting to ripen on the bottom first, they need temperature. When it's really hot out, they don't like to ripen up. I believe the temperature that they're looking for is anywhere from 64 to 70 degrees here on that tomato on the surface. Now, if you do remove a lot of foliage, you can do what I'm doing with my hand. You can shade them if you want them to ripen in your garden on the vine. But I don't believe there's any more different tasting, that it's whether you're ripening in a box with a banana or an apple using ethylene gas from those, you're going to get the same flavor. And that's controversy, and I'll go over that in another video. But this tomato will have the same beautiful taste as the other one that's next to it. Again, there is more research done that there might be more minerals in the ground to give it a better taste, but that tomato, both of them, what they've needed, and I've done it in my other videos, they need water to produce a nice sized tomato and to go further. It doesn't matter about cutting leaves off or topping off your plant or how short it is or how tall it is. It's all important that way. So you need to get past the mature green stage. You don't need sunlight, but what you do need is temperature, that's 64 to 70 degrees. And I can achieve that also by bringing in the house and keeping it in a cool space. You don't have to take your tomato, and I've seen a lot of people, my mom used to do it, and my grandmother, because they thought they needed sun to ripen tomatoes over the years. And we're going back at least probably 80 something years now that they've been doing it that way, is they think they need to take these and put them on a counter on a windowsill to get the sunlight to ripen it. And I've explained to them, we put it in a box and it works out just fine. So remember, if somebody asks you if you need to ripen tomatoes using sunlight, the answer is no, you do not. Tomatoes love sunlight, and you can see here on my plants that they're enjoying that sun. They are capturing that sun and taking carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and pushing in the ground, feeding the soil bacteria. Thus, in turn, the bacteria feeds the plants all the nutrients it wants. And I'll go into more details, and I've been mentioning this on my YouTube channel for a long time now, and I get this great production. I don't have to. I don't even tie these up. They're grown on a cattle panel, and I don't remove suckers. I take aluminum tie to tie it to the cattle panel in the background, and I just weave it through. I try to keep my plants short because I have a lot of wind on my farm. I don't want them growing over 5 feet tall, and they are doing just fine. So I hope you have gotten some beautiful tips out of this, and knows maybe that you can try it. Try it on 1 plant or try it on 2 plants next year. Put a mulch down. I see a lot of people that don't like to put a mulch down. It's your choice of mulch that will keep the soil moist. And in my other videos, that's what tomato plants love to have, is a good supply of water, at least 1 to 2 inches per week. So give this video a good thumbs up. There it is. That's my thumb, and we'll get back to you with another exciting video in the future. But I thank you if you subscribed, and please, if you have any questions or comments, even if you totally disagree, I will make a video for you to give you a better idea or better explaining how I do my tomato plants. And I want to share with you because it's not a lot of work. They are the easiest thing to grow. So please subscribe and give it a good thumbs up, and I'll see you again in another fantastic video. Enjoy your day, and enjoy hopefully this cool weather. We're gonna get some ripe tomatoes. Yay! It's gonna be good. Thanks. I'm just gonna add this in at the last second. You can see here, and hopefully you can only probably see, let's see if we can get some more here. Look at these beautiful tomatoes. This is at the bottom again, like maybe say 8 inches off the ground. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's another one back here. Let's see if I can move this without 5. Now that's a beautiful cluster of tomatoes. That's what I can produce, and they're all gorgeous. There's right there, and there's another group down here on the same plant that is doing well. Let's see if we get down here. There's another one you can see. Just gorgeous. That's some good selling tomatoes at the market, and people love to see them, and they love to watch my videos. This is just free advertisement to me. Thank you very much, and enjoy your day. Happy gardening.